We begin with Taiwan, which has suffered the deadliest train crash in its history. Authorities say at least 50 people are dead and more than 140 others are injured. The limited express train was carrying nearly 500 passengers when it went off the rails in a tunnel along the island's eastern coast. The driver is reportedly among the dead, and the railway authority says the first 4 of the 8 cars are badly damaged. Officials say they've already wrapped up their rescue operation, but they're still at the scene to make a final determination on whether anybody is still trapped under the wreckage.
The train was traveling at a normal speed, but it suddenly hit the brakes. I felt like we were pushed from behind.
Officials say the train collided with a construction truck that had rolled down a slope onto the rails. Local media say the driver of that vehicle has been taken into police custody for questioning. The crash happened at around 9:30 a.m. on Friday at the start of a long weekend. The train was en route from the northern part of the island to the southeastern city of Taidang.
I instructed fire departments, police, and other organizations to engage in the rescue operation. I also ordered the military to provide support.
The president also said her administration will offer its utmost support to the passengers and their families. Turning to Myanmar, protesters against the military coup have staged a flower strike to honor victims of the junta's repression. A local human rights group says 543 civilians have been killed by security forces since the takeover. Residents in areas controlled by the Karen ethnic armed group continue to flee airstrikes by the military. Protesters are still on the streets 2 months after the coup. Security forces reportedly gunned down 5 people on Thursday. In the largest city, Yangon, protesters held a flower strike on Friday, leaving bouquets, some bearing slogans, at locations including bus stops to commemorate those killed. The military had invited ethnic armed groups to agree to a 1-month ceasefire starting Thursday. But an NGO official told NHK airstrikes were carried out in Karen State in the southeast of the country that day and Friday. Local media say 20,000 local people remain evacuated. Officials in India's Mizoram state say over 1,000 refugees from neighboring Myanmar have fled there since the coup, and the number continues to rise. Meanwhile, a lawyer for Aung San Suu Kyi says she's been charged with breaking the country's official secrets law. That's the 5th charge filed against the ousted leader. She's believed to still be in detention. The UN Security Council condemned the use of violence against anti-coup protesters following its 3rd emergency meeting on the Myanmar situation. The Council stopped short of warning of UN action against the violence. The United States and European nations wanted sanctions, including a ban on weapons exports to Myanmar, but China and Russia objected. Japan's foreign minister says the country will keep urging Myanmar's military and opponents of the coup to talk to each other.
Ultimately, the opposing camps in Myanmar need to engage in dialogue and explore a path for resolving the situation. The international community should back such efforts.
Motegi says Japan will make full use of its connections on both sides, stressing Tokyo has supported the democratization process in Myanmar for many years. The minister says Japan has been carefully considering the best approach.
I don't believe it would be productive to impose sanctions just because other countries are doing so, or just to demonstrate we're taking a brave step.
China's foreign minister has been holding a flurry of meetings with his counterparts from 4 ASEAN nations as maritime disputes in the South China Sea and the coup in Myanmar loom large. Wang Yi has been holding talks separately with the foreign ministers of Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines since Wednesday. In a statement issued by China's foreign ministry, Wang said his country hopes ASEAN will play a key role in promoting stability in Myanmar. He said Beijing supports the bloc's principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of member countries. Observers say Beijing aims to prevent ASEAN from adopting a unified stance against China's claims to virtually the entire South China Sea. China is also seen to be trying to fend off pressure from the U.S. and EU over Myanmar and the human rights situation affecting Uyghurs. Global Times, a paper affiliated with the Communist Party, ran a commentary quoting Chinese experts who said China and ASEAN are standing together. Experts in Tokyo say a variant of the coronavirus may be spreading fast in the capital and could replace the original strain. The variant is different from those detected in the UK, South Africa, or Brazil. A university hospital in central Tokyo has been screening samples from positive coronavirus tests. Staff there say they detected the E484K mutation in 10 out of 14 samples they screened in March, accounting for 71%. The mutation is located in the 484th amino acid in the spike protein, which plays a crucial role in infecting human cells. Scientists say it reduces antibody efficacy, making anyone who's contracted the coronavirus more vulnerable to reinfection. The mutation could also make vaccines less effective.
This variant is wreaking havoc in Tokyo. We should boost capacity so that every positive PCR test can be analyzed to see whether the person is infected with a variant.
Meanwhile, the variant first detected in the UK has been spreading in Osaka, which is now reporting more daily coronavirus infections than anywhere else in the country. Officials in the Western Prefecture confirmed more than 600 cases on Friday. They decided to urge bars and restaurants to close by 8 p.m. following the central government's decision to allow the prefecture and 2 others to take stricter measures for 1 month starting Monday.
The only way now to enjoy group meals while trying to prevent infection is to wear masks while dining.
Across the country, more than 2,700 cases were reported on Friday. The head of the government's expert panel is concerned about the current situation.
There's no doubt we are facing a serious resurgence in infections. I think I can say that we are entering a so-called 4th wave of infections.
Omi says if the stricter measures in Osaka, Hyogo, and Miyagi prefectures aren't effective enough, the central government may have to consider another state of emergency. South Korean President Moon Jae-in's approval rate has dropped to a record low with only 1 year left of his term in office. Gallup Korea surveyed 1,000 people. Moon's approval rate stood at 32%, down 2 percentage points from the previous week and the lowest since he took office in May 2017. Moon's disapproval rate was 58%. The disapproval rate exceeded the approval rate in all age groups, including people in their 40s who are considered to be Moon's strong supporters. Among those who disapproved of the president, about 40% cited real estate policies. Soaring real estate prices and allegations of illegal land transactions by public officials are likely behind the decline in Moon's approval rate. Next week, mayoral elections are scheduled in the capital Seoul and the country's second largest city, Busan. They're regarded as important precursors to the presidential election in March next year. South Korean media say candidates from the ruling Democratic Party, which supports Moon, are facing strong headwinds. South Korea's Foreign Minister Chung Wi-yong has arrived in China for his first overseas visit since taking office. He's set to discuss the situation on the Korean peninsula with his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi. The two will meet on Saturday in the southern city of Xiamen. Chung is expected to seek Beijing's cooperation as he pushes for denuclearization in North Korea. Pyongyang launched missiles in March, rebuffing overtures from Seoul. Before his departure, Chung told reporters that China needs to play a constructive role on North Korean issues.
Our government plans to develop relations with China in a balanced manner, based on the unwavering US-South Korea alliance.
A conservative South Korean newspaper says it's rare for new foreign ministers in the country to visit China ahead of the United States. It notes that U.S.-China frictions have been deepening, saying Chung's trip could have repercussions for Seoul's relationship with Washington. Turning to the latest controversy connected to the Tokyo Olympics, a city in central Japan has now dropped plans to bar women from joining a segment of the torch relay. That's after a wave of criticism. Next Tuesday, the flame will be carried along a stretch of canal in Handa City, Aichi Prefecture, in a festival boat that's traditionally been off limits for women. Officials initially said only men would be allowed on board, including the torchbearer, security officers, and media. That sparked fierce criticism online, and the city has reversed its decision after consulting with locals and the event organizing committee. It says women can get on the vessel as the torch relay isn't a religious ritual. Cooler weather is in store for those in Europe this weekend. Our meteorologist Jonathan Oh has a look at the details in world weather.
Hello, it looks like that we're going to be coming back to reality across Europe as we see some cold air coming in from the north. The cold front has been pushing through, and behind it, temperatures are going to be sinking by a good 10 degrees from the 20s into the teens, some places even into the single digits as we head toward Saturday and even into Sunday. So there's that cold front that's sweeping through. Plenty of rain along this particular front, and so the eastern areas of Europe will be catching on some action, while the western area is still under the influence of high pressure, but we have the northerly flow coming in. So as it continues to force that cold air in, we're going to see those temperatures really drop as we head into Saturday. So don't put away some of those jackets. You're probably going to need them. A high of only 9 in Berlin, 8 in Stockholm, showers into Moscow with a high of 5. And notice the only areas in the 20s are way down toward the south. Elsewhere, you're mainly going to be in the teens and upper single digits. Cold air really plunging into the eastern areas of the United States as well. We finally got this front that cleared out toward the east, and behind it we're seeing temperatures really drop off. Not a lot to talk about in terms of rain, at least for Saturday, but as we head towards Sunday, looks like some showers are developing into Denver, and temperatures warming up too. New York back up into the upper teens by Sunday, Chicago going from 19 to 23 as we head into Easter Sunday. Meanwhile, across Japan, plenty of rain down toward the south, and a cold front up into China will be dropping down, and that's going to really bring some wet weather across North and South Korea for Saturday and then into Japan as we go into Sunday. A couple areas of low pressure also moving toward the east. So here's the breakdown for the next few days. Sapporo looking at some showers first, and then we'll also see rain picking up from Fukuoka into Osaka, and then later in the day on Sunday in Tokyo. And notice temperatures really dropping off. We were in the mid-20s in Tokyo earlier this week, down to 16 with showers coming up on Monday. That's a look at your forecast. Hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you are.
In Taiwan, at least 50 people were killed and more than 100 injured when a train struck a vehicle that rolled into its path. Protesters in Dawei, Myanmar, marched to honor activists killed by security forces during demonstrations against the military government. In Niger, the swearing-in of President Mohamed Bazoum marks the first handover of power from one elected president to another since the country's independence. And in eastern Russia, 8 doctors stayed behind in a burning hospital to complete a successful heart operation. No injuries were reported.
Police guarding the U.S. Capitol building in Washington have shot a man dead after he ran over 2 police officers, killing one of them. No motive for the man's actions has yet been given. The trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, accused of killing George Floyd, has been ongoing. A senior police officer who attended the scene have explained that he never been trained to kneel on someone's neck. More than 50 people are thought to have died when a high-speed passenger train came off the rails in Taiwan. Eyewitnesses have suggested it hit a construction vehicle which had slipped onto its path. And the Indian cricket star Sachin Tendulkar has been admitted to hospital after suffering from COVID-19 for more than a week. He tweeted that he'd been admitted as a matter of precaution.